Chuck needs to realign. We're gonna need as soon as we get like a budget, we're gonna need a guy that can just keep fixing your hat every day. Right here. An on-stand hat guy.
And hand you Tic Tacs.
They'll feed them to you.
Yeah.
I should do a counter that just says secret mint coming in 3, 2, 1. Yes. Anyways, because the mints will look like drug use, which is what we want. Speaking of drug use, welcome to Not a Strong Start. In this episode, we're talking about Euphoria, drugs, sex, violence with teens. Hey,
hey. The high school girls hang out around here. Hey,
exactly. This is stuff we always like talking about. So I'm your host, Daniel de Sangre.
Jose Ramos.
And I'm Chuck.
That's it.
Should I have
Chuck?
like another name? Like
you
like
need like a
Zendaya?
last name or say.
No, I'm like Zendaya. So we're
you're
talking
not good
about Euphoria. I'm Chuck.
No, Zendaya can pull off Zendaya. Madonna can pull off Madonna. Chuck, there's a lot of Chuck.
Cher, Chuck, Cher.
That's true. Does Cher really deserve to be a Cher? Did she? I know Prince did.
Maybe like 40 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, current event time. You guys know Rupert Grint, the actor that played Ron Weasley, right? From the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, yeah.
With the money he made from the Harry Potter film series, he bought an ice cream truck and he'll occasionally drive around English Village handing out free ice cream. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
That's nice.
Right?
Yeah, that's nice of him. I can't remember the last time I saw an ice cream truck. I didn't know they still had those.
Yeah, it's because you don't live in Pacoima, dude. I see him all the time. So
Pacoima?
Is it-
Nah, I'm in Upper San Fernando. It's not Pacoima. I never seen a Harry Potter movie, but
You've never seen a single Harry Potter movie?
Not one single Harry Potter movie.
Well, you're gonna hear that in the comments.
That's what I'm saying, man. How do you not see a Harry Potter movie? Even if you don't like it, it's not your thing. You got to see what the hype is, man.
Because I was too busy getting laid. That's why. I didn't have time to watch Harry Potter, dude.
You know you can get laid while watching Harry Potter, right?
I'm kidding.
It's the magic wand.
Nah, I was watching Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Did people do both? I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
anything, man. If for movie fans, I'm watching everything, mostly.
I watch The Servant. You guys know The Servant? M. Night Shyamalan. It's like his TV show on Apple TV Plus.
I've seen the trailer, but I never actually watched the show.
It's good. He's in that. That's the only thing I've seen him in. The Rupert redhead guy. Yeah, he's in it. He's funny.
So when I said Ron Weasley, that's why you're looking at me like, I don't know who that is.
I have no idea who that is. Yeah.
Can I check out The Servant? Because I've watched Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I could do both.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, if you watch Lord of the Rings, you're disqualified from watching some other programs, according to Chuck, with no last name.
Yeah, it's like my brother told me a long time ago. He's like, dude, you gonna watch The Matrix? I'm like, I already saw Johnny Mnemonic, dude. I was like, I think I'm all set, dude.
Have you seen The Matrix, or you still haven't seen it?
I have. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Okay, Johnny Mnemonic. I remember that movie came out. It wasn't good, and I remember I had whatever reason I owned the book, and I read like 10 pages. Then I saw the movie, and I was like, nah, I don't need to read the rest.
Yeah, no, I was just joking. Yeah, I was like, I did my part already.
There you go, Keanu Reeves. Anyways, so in this episode, we're talking about Euphoria, hugely popular show on HBO Max, starring none other than Zendaya. Or Zendaya? Zendaya?
I thought it was Mary Jane. Wasn't it MJ?
MJ?
It was MJ, yeah. But she prefers to be called MJ.
I say Zendaya, but
I say Zendaya too because it sounds cooler. Like Rihanna. She said Rihanna one time. Like, I like Rihanna.
Yeah, Rihanna's better.
Sounds more exotic. So Rihanna, we're going to tell you how to pronounce your name. Zendaya, we're going to tell you how to pronounce it. Or Zendaya. Anyways, it's a show. It's a look at life for a group of high school students as they grapple with issues of drug, sex, and violence. So first of all, how far did both of you guys get in it? Did you guys watch both seasons?
I did. It's a good thing there was like a 2 or 3 year gap in between because I was kind of done after the first season. I liked it, but if you guys remember the finale, it was like a music video for Zendaya. The last like 3 minutes, it was legit a music video, and I was like, "What is going on here. You know, it was such a good show, and yeah, and I get that she's an executive producer on the show, so I'm like, was this for her? Was she like, hey, we're doing a music video for me at the end
She
of
won
this?
an Emmy. She won an
Yeah,
Emmy
yeah.
for it. Rightfully so.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, I'm okay. Yeah, she shouldn't want a Grammy for it. It was a freaking music video, you know. So,
Grammy. Yeah. No, I
but
hear you. How about you, Jose?
No, I saw most of season one. I think close to the end. And then I stopped watching, and I never went back.
Okay. Well, what was it that kind of turned you off from it?
I mean, the show, don't get me wrong, the show was good. The acting was good. The writing was good. It was a good story. Nothing with that. It's just as I was watching it and the certain situations and scenarios were occurring, like at one point, I remember myself watching it and I'm like, oh, into it. And then I'm like, holy crap, these are supposed to be like teenage kids like
Yeah.
doing this. I just felt uncomfortable. It was just like, ah, I don't know. Like, were they supposed to be maybe 15, 14, 15, 16 years old? And it's just like there was a discomfort to it. So I didn't have the enthusiasm to go back, even though it was good.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I did watch both seasons. I really enjoyed the second season more than the first season. The first season was great. They directed it very well. One thing you can say about the show is that it's made very, very well. The cinematography that they use, a lot of the color choices that they have, it's just very heavy, right? Like when you start having teenagers with drug use, it's a heavy subject. And they really push the boundaries with a lot of these characters where you had these group of friends you have this group of friends, where Zendaya plays
Zendaya?
Rue. Zendaya. You have Hunter Schafer who plays Jules. They have Alexa Demi that plays Maddie. And another breakout star they've had is Sydney Sweeney, which plays Cassie. But each of the characters are dealing with their own internal issues. They all have their own, I don't really want to use the term baggage, but they have their own demons that they're working through. And obviously with dramas, you kind of enhance things, right? You exaggerate certain things because even though there's real life teenagers out there that are dealing with some of the issues that they have, you don't necessarily have a collection like this where every single one's dealing with a different type of demon. So they really kind of push the limits on it. And it kind of felt like in the first season to me, they were doing things just to get the shock value out of it, even if it didn't necessarily always feel believable. The second season, a lot of the secondary characters, they started giving them shine, and I started sympathizing with a lot of the secondary characters, and we'll start getting more into that stuff. But what I want to ask you, Chuck, is what do you think made the show so successful? Why do you think I believe it's the second most watched, right, from HBO Max, or the second most researched? Like, it's mega popular.
Well, one is Zendaya. I mean, obviously she's super popular, so I think that right there just gives the show a lot of street cred. But for me, like being so popular like that show, like it's everything that it's about, like sex, drugs, violence, and a lot of dick. But that's not for me though. I swear, dude, for the people who haven't seen it, I usually get excited when they show like the parental thing and it says like, "Ooh, there's nudity and drug use," and I'm like, "Yes."
Young
But
Chuck
whenever
is like, "Yes, let's
I'm
see a
like,
nipple."
"Yes, yes, boobs." But when with Euphoria, when I already saw the nudity, I'm like, "God damn it, there's gonna be a bunch of dick," and there was a lot
You're
of
getting a
in
mushroom
this
tip. There's a
show,
lot of mushroom tips.
and
Yeah.
I'm just like, "What is going on here?"
Mhm.
But no, it's just a great show. Like I mean, it's a well-made soap opera, just well written, a lot of drama. And yeah, and all the characters are super super likable, really charismatic, like even the characters you're supposed to hate, I still love them. Like I like watching them, so
Mhm.
it was good entertainment every week. So
Yeah.
you missed out, Jose. There's a common theme here with you not finishing things. Does this go other places too in your life or no? I meant like food, like food.
Of course.
Hey, I'll at least start it.
That's all that matters. Is
Yeah.
how you
As long
start
as
it.
you started.
Never how you end it. Never how you end it.
But in serious note, though, I do agree with Chuck on the aspect like I can see why it is successful because the performances are great. I remember just a few weeks ago, in one of the chats that I have with one of my friends, they shared a scene of Zendaya. I think it's from season 2, and it's her interaction with the Jules character. And wow, like
Yeah.
that the performance, it made me almost want to go back to the show because I was like she killed that monologue, and how she went. It was amazing. So I can see why people will get pulled in. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really recommend if you have time to get back into it. The second season's amazing. It's directed so well, and they even started bringing out characters, like Maud Apatow, right, which is Judd Apatow's daughter. She was more of a background secondary character, right? They didn't give her a bunch of time. In this show, they gave her like 2 main episodes. Like she becomes a major character by the end of the season, and you see why these group of characters are friends. Like you start to see more of their backstory between her relationship with Ruse. So it's I think the show's just done such a great job of really encapsulating teenage angst, but they're doing it in such a creative and clever way. So even what you're talking about, Chuck, about the music video, the ending of season 1, I like that kind of stuff. I thought it was pretty cool, man. It's pretty rad. It's something we don't normally see all the time. So to see that is pretty awesome. So what do you guys overall, your personal feelings on the show? Right. So Jose, I'll kind of start with you since there was a reason why you kind of backed away a little bit. What's your main feeling behind it?
I mean, it's just kind of that, and I know it's nothing against the show. It's a personal thing myself where like I found myself again being uncomfortable watching it, and it's weird because like I watched similar stuff when I was younger, when I was growing up. So there was like other shows, similar themes and everything, and it was like perfectly fine, and it didn't bother me. And I think it's like when my career like demographic, when I was doing behavioral work, shifted and I started working more with a younger demographic, it became harder for me to watch that type of stuff when it involved kids. And so because then like I'll start like see the kids that I'm working with, like, oh man, like what if this was them and this was like their situation? And like I know it's all me, it's all in my head, but that's kind of where the discomfort started creeping up, which I didn't have before. you know, when I was younger, I could have watched this with no problem.
Yeah, and you were younger too, like,
Yeah.
being like older, you're kind of like more self-aware, and you're kind of just like, what's going on here? And it's funny you say that about work because a few years back I was working at a junior high, and some of the stuff that we hear in Euphoria, I heard at the junior high level. Like, and I'm just like, oh my God, like you guys are like 12, 13 years old. What are you talking about? Like I didn't talk about that stuff when I was 12 or 13 years old. Yeah, I did. But, I think, but, to hear it and be older, I'm like, oh my God, just walking by conversations and hearing, so I kind of get you on there, but I think, go ahead.
I would say what I think doesn't help is when you're watching, you kind of get into it, and you have, for many of these roles, you have adults playing them, people in their 20s, sometimes
Right.
people about to hit their 30s playing like these kids. So it kind of pulls you away from the this is teenagers thing, and you kind of see as it is because it is adults playing them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that kind of, I think, softens the blow for a lot of people. It's like it's adults that are playing
Right.
these characters.
Yeah, just watch it again and pretend they're in college.
Yeah.
Forget that they're in high school.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think about them being in high school, especially the way they talk. Like, they're like using the
Feels like
Queen,
college
the
almost.
Queen's like English, and they're all just very eloquent. Where I'm just like, I bet they're like looking up words, So I'm like, high school
Dude,
kids don't talk like that.
what show was that? Was it Dawson's Creek that used to
Yes.
talk like that, right? Where people would
Yes.
always clown him like, dude, nobody talks like that. Then you had the movie like Juno, right, where Diablo Cody wrote their dialogue,
Yeah.
and they were making all these references. I remember the main character, man, what's her name? I'm slipping my mind right now.
it's different now because she's a man now, right?
Yeah, Elliot Page. Now it's Elliot
And
Page is
now it's
now
Elliot.
Elliot. It used
his
to be
name.
Ellie.
Yeah,
Now I think it's
And Elliot,
Ellen
right?
Page. It used to be
now
Ellen
now
Page.
Ellen
Page.
Page.
Now it's Elliot Page. But I remember she was talking to her friend and she made a reference about Morgan Freeman and like, oh, you got bones to collect. I'm like, dude, there's no way a 15-year-old
Knows
watched The
about the bone
Bone
collector.
Collector. He doesn't
Yeah.
know that. Like, come on, man. Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But anyways, yeah, absolutely. And the older we get, the more uncomfortable you get because when we were young, we'd always have old people saying, you guys are, we weren't like that growing up. You guys were just like, yeah, shut up, old man. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, but now you see it, I'm like, man, you see 12, 13-year-olds. I'm like, why are you guys dressing like this? Like, that's way too young, man. We're over here talking about Pokemon and everything.
Yeah.
12 years old, talking about Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Brothers. But like, no, man, we weren't talking about drug use and stuff like that. But some people had it like that, especially when they start dealing with like sex conversations. It gets uncomfortable. And like what you guys are saying, Jose, even is with these actors, they casted very well for actors that look really young. So
Yeah.
you're not watching them. For us being older now, it's not like a turn on. It's uncomfortable. It makes you really uncomfortable to kind of watch that stuff. And I know that's what they're going for, right? They're trying to make you feel. So that's why they kind of push the boundaries on stuff like this show. And the first season, maybe I just wasn't mentally prepared for a show like this. So maybe by the time I got to the second season, it was easier for me to absorb it.
Right.
But I felt like, I felt like by the second season, they did a better job of kind of pulling back on some of that while still digging deeper into the characters. So
One thing that I know I have heard people kind of push back on the show of it is because, as you mentioned, a lot happens in there. They kind of, these were things that I did see or hear or experience while I was in like high school, but not at such an accelerated rate, so concentrated, because you have to do it for a show. You have to keep it entertaining, keep the drama up on that aspect. So those things were existent. But one of the pushbacks that people get in the show is like, okay, that's fine that you're showing this, but the consequences, you need to show that aspect of it. Because some people start believing that you're glorifying it when the people engaged in the behaviors are just kind of getting away with it and everything's staying, or it's celebrated, their actions are celebrated, and consequences that can come from it aren't there. That's not from me. That's just saying that I know that is some of the pushback that I have heard regarding this show or these types of shows.
Absolutely. And that's something I wanted to ask you guys is this isn't the first show to sort of glorify drug use or really push the boundaries on teenage angst. So what are some other shows that maybe you guys watched, maybe you heard of, that has done this before, that's kind of set the trail for this? So Chuck, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Not really a show, but a movie. The Kids. Do you remember Kids?
Absolutely. Rosario Dawson. That was like the first thing I think I
like
saw her in.
Yeah, that movie was just brutal, and the teenagers and drugs and sex, and I pretty much rapes the girl at the end, and she's HIV positive, I think, right
Yeah.
at the end. Like, so, like that movie, I was I was just like, I don't want to watch anything with teenagers anymore, And it's one of those movies too that I think is really good that I'll also never watch again. So I don't know if you guys have any of those, but yeah, it was good and I never want to see it again.
Yeah, dude, and I think I saw it when I was like 15 or something like that. I saw it young and it was just, it made me so uncomfortable. And I honestly don't even know if I've seen it a second time because of what you said. Like, back then they had movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, right? It's a comedy. It's teenage kids. It's set in the 80s. What they do though, but their way of pushing the boundaries was a girl getting knocked up and having to go through an abortion. That rape is like an entirely different thing. Like it's so uncomfortable, especially when she gets HIV positive. I mean,
yeah, and the guy, he rapes her not knowing that she's HIV positive, and it's like like, and I was right at the end and I'm like, I feel sick. It's one of those
Yeah,
movies like Requiem for a Dream, Monster. Like I feel like I can smell those movies. They're so
yeah,
just grimy and like, and they were great. I loved all of them, but I never want to see them again. So
yeah, absolutely. How about you, Jose? Is there anything you could think of?
Yeah, actually there was a show that I watched when I was younger. It was almost the same thing. That was just revolved all around like teenage sex, drugs, all of that stuff.
Boy Meets World.
And it was actually
Boy Meets Drugs is a different
yeah.
show.
It's a British show. It was called Skins. And it starred what's his name? Holt, the guy who plays Beast in the
Oh,
X-Men.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Something
Use a Jennifer.
Holt.
Yeah,
Nicholas Holt.
Yeah.
Nicholas Holt.
So it starred him, and that had. I mean, but I watched it when I was younger, and again, this is the show before I got into my career, while I was still young, so it didn't bug me at all. I was like, "Holy shit!" But it was some like serious things that got into, like even like Nicholas Holt's character. There was this one moment where he messes with this guy's sister just to like get back at him, messes with the sister, like hooks up with her, takes pictures of her,
Hmm.
and all of that stuff, and just kind of like violates her. And then by like the end of that season, the brother gets revenge on him by like making him like hook up with his sister, like forcing him into doing it. It's like I'm telling you, the show was fucked up. But that kind of reminds me of the formula that Euphoria follows of like these teenagers engaging in these like extreme like situations.
Yeah. So there's a couple that that I have as an example. Like I know they had My So-Called Life. That was one that was popular in the 90s. I was a little too young for that, so I didn't, I don't
Claire
remember that
Danes.
one with Claire Danes,
Yeah.
and it
Okay.
also had Jared Leto. Jared Leto was in that one. But like what you said, Requiem for a Dream. That was one that even though they weren't teenagers, they were still young 20 something, year olds. Also had Jared Leto in it.
Oh yeah.
Marlon Wayans was in it, but that movie I love. I thought it was directed so well by Darren Aronofsky, but they really glorified drug usage in that movie. A lot of dope, really cool visuals that you see with the, them doing heroin and the pupils dilating and all that. Really awesome to see. But by the time they get to the ending, it's so fucked up. It leaves like an ugly feeling.
I like take a shower after like two of them.
Dude, it really did, man. And like Jennifer Connelly's awesome in the movie, but like you just feel so bad for her. But like they really showed you, okay, we're gonna glorify the drug use. This is awesome. But then you see the aftermath, and it's like it's not. And they
Why
really
do,
pushed it.
why do we feel bad for her, Dan?
You really want me to say it? Ask to ask. You
Yeah.
want me to say
I
it?
mean, people want to know.
Ask to ask. That's all I'm gonna say. If you've seen the movie, you know what that reference means. I'll leave it at that. But another movie that was really cool was a movie called 13. Have
Yeah.
you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is starring Evan Rachel Wood. That was the first thing I've ever seen her in. And her co-star in it is Nikki Reed, who actually co-wrote the script. It's
Mhm.
loosely based on her life. So that makes it even a little more uncomfortable because you see this nice, sweet girl that's 13, and then you see her get into sex, drug use, and you see her really turn. It goes really dark with it,
Yeah.
and Holly Hunter plays the mom. Like it's a really good movie, but again, it's very, very heavy. The good girl that's going bad. So that's kind of a little bit of what they're doing with Euphoria, but they give you a much better reasons with this one with Zendaya, with her father passing. You see how she gets into the drug use, why she gets into it, why it's hard for her to break it. This is like the best acting I've ever seen her do in her life. So it's absolutely warranted that she won the Emmy. She's probably going to win again for this season. She's had amazing scenes in this show.
Yeah, and they go a lot. The theme for me, at least I thought, was like parents. When it goes to like everybody and their demons and their issues, it all went back to their parents. Zendaya, her dad died. The sisters, right? Their dad took off on them. What's the main guy's name?
Which one, Nate?
Nate,
Talking about that
right?
one,
His
Nate.
dad was was like a freaking sociopath and like was
Dude, but
like,
yeah, I want to touch on that. So the dad, I hated the dad in the first season because he was very one note. He was sociopath. Like you didn't know why or any of that. In the second season, they start to give you his backstory, and
yeah,
you kind of feel bad for the guy to some
I
extent,
did.
right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. They made me feel for him. And that's why I say the second season was so damn good, was because I created prejudice of some of these people. And in the second season, they started making me feel bad for them.
Mhm.
Like they flipped the switch on me. And that's why I'm like, that's good writing, man. That's very
Oh,
good writing.
great. Yeah, the dad was such a hateable character too in the first season. Like hateable. The things he did were pretty despicable, right?
Despicable.
I mean, they still are, but
Yeah.
they kind of explain who he is, why who he is, and I felt sympathy for him. I felt bad for him, and he says something that kind of stuck with me where he was like, I'm an emotional guy and I can't be emotional, like, and I was just like, whoa,
Yeah, man. It
like it
hits.
was good, He did a great job too.
Yeah.
Eric Dane, I think he was Grey's
Hmm.
Anatomy. I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Eric Dane. Yeah. I remember him. That was the only thing I remembered him from, and I'd never really watched Grey's Anatomy. I was
Neither did
I was too
I.
young for that. And I'm not, that's not really my type of show anyways.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like that's not what I do.
I
But
prefer to go with Scrubs if I'm gonna go with
oh
a
yeah,
hospital
man.
show.
Oh dude, I Scrubs I watched all the way through, but like man, as soon as Zach Braff left, man, I'm like that show got no.
I never saw that one either.
You never saw Scrubs?
I think the only medical show I ever watched was The Nick with Clive Owen. It's really
Okay.
good. Everybody watch The Nick.
Clive
It's
Owen's
so
awesome.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a movie or TV show?
TV show. It ran 2 seasons. Steven Soderbergh directed and produced every episode.
Hmm.
So good, dude. So good. So for
I'm
anybody out there
I'm
listening, watch The
I'm
Nick.
I'm shocked you didn't watch Doogie Howser.
Okay, yeah, I did watch Doogie Howser. Never mind. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
There you go. Got
I
you
forgot
twice.
about Doogie.
Man,
Yeah.
you can't forget about Doogie, man. That's
Yeah.
NPH. NPH wouldn't forget about NPH. That's why I can appreciate a show like Euphoria, where it pushes me out of my comfort zone. I'm watching a different world that I didn't necessarily experience with these type of girls that they're going through. So even though it makes me feel weird and uncomfortable, most things that I sit here and watch don't make me feel like that. So even if it does give you the state of the icky where you have to go and take a shower, it's but that's what film is. That's what film is. It's supposed to make you feel that. It's forcing you to feel something. And I think Euphoria absolutely does that.
Yeah, and I towed a pretty fine line in high school. Like drugs, not so much, but I knew a lot of people that did drugs, and
Mhm.
the whole sex thing was pretty tricky in high school. Everybody was having sex, getting pregnant, and it was. But my question to you guys is, if you were in high school now, with social media, with the internet, with everything, do you think you guys would have had a different? I mean, obviously you would have, but like a different high school experience? Like, do you think you would have been out there more? Do you think you would have got into more trouble? Like, for me, I'm glad the internet wasn't around. I would have got canceled a long time ago, dude. Like, but just, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, how would you feel?
I think naturally it would have been different. Social media changes everything for
Yeah.
everyone, whether it's in school or work, careers, or anything. It changes everything. So I think it definitely would have been different. I probably would have gotten in more trouble
Yeah.
than I already did. And then on top of that is people, one thing that we had that the newer generation doesn't have is we were allowed to make mistakes without it being able to always surface years later.
Mm,
This generation now can make a mistake at 13 and that mistake can be pulled out when they're 30
yeah.
by image or video. So we had more leeway and a better chance at having a second chance
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
thriving after the fact. The newer generation has less room to make these mistakes when they're young.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, that's true. And also with social media comes cyberbullying. Like we didn't necessarily have to really deal with that too much. AOL started coming out, but it was like AOL the instant messenger or whatever, the chat rooms where you go in there and fuck off.
Yeah.
I go in there just
smooth 1212. Hey, fuck you, dude.
fuck you, bitch. It's like, oh my God, I just said bitch. It wasn't like that now. So to answer your question, Chuck, yeah, absolutely. I know for me, I would have been doing a lot more skits. I would have been filming skits. I would have had stuff on IG. I would have had stuff like on TikTok. If I was around during social media stuff, I've always liked filming stuff anyways. So if you give me a platform that's free that I can put it out there and try to start accruing some followers, absolutely, I would have done that. So my lifestyle would have changed that way. Absolutely. And then of course I would have been a high school celebrity. I mean, come on. I'm the guy with the huge TikTok account.
That's a good point. But I meant, would you have done more drugs and gotten way more chicks pregnant and had more STDs? That's what I was getting at. But never mind.
That depends. Am I doing on a TikTok video for likes and subscribe? Then that's different.
Yeah, because I was nervous and I didn't, talk to a whole bunch of girls in high school, But imagine if I had text messaging back then, I'd have been like, hey, but yeah,
I had the old school thing, dude. I had a whole big shoebox of just like a bunch of notes and all these letters and all that stuff. That was an old school text messaging. I used to have that.
Well, dude, in high school, I can't believe I admit this now. Like in 10th grade, I think I was still playing with my GI Joes, but I was recording them. Like I was recording them, and I'm like, and then I would hit pause, and then throw him down.
In fairness, you're still doing it now. Yeah. You're still kind of doing it now.
I still am.
A shocker, if you go to Chuck's IG page, you're gonna see his toy photography. Shocker.
Well, what's funny is this one time I was recording my GI Joes and I was playing with them, right? And I had the door locked because I was like in the 10th grade. I didn't, want anybody to know I was playing. My mom knocks on the door. She's like, "Hey, why's the door? What are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing. Get out of here." And I thought she probably thought I was masturbating, and I thought,
absolutely,
yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's better than her thinking I'm playing with toys still.
Quick, hide underneath the bed.
Yeah, and then pull my pants down. Oh, you caught me. Sorry.
Where's that tube sock? Hey guys, what's on the queue? Jose, let's start off with you.
Well, I think I'm gonna check out the Adam Project. It's the new Ryan Reynolds movie on Netflix. That came out because Ryan Reynolds is entertaining. So why
I like
not?
Ryan Reynolds, man. I'm a fan.
Honestly, I haven't really watched much of the trailer. I think has to do with like time travel where he goes and sees his younger self. That's about all I know. But he's always good for a laugh, so I'm gonna check that out.
Is that Sean? Is that the Sean Levi?
Yes.
Levy? Yeah,
Yep.
he's the one that did Free Guy, right? And
So
he's doing the new Deadpool.
So that's a good team right there so far.
So far they're hitting. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
How about you, Chuck? What do you got?
For me, I'm still trying to get through We All Are Dead, the Korean zombies. Shout out to Korean zombies, by the way. So yeah, still getting through that. Dude, it's like 12
They don't get
episodes.
enough shout outs. Korean zombies don't get enough shout outs.
Shout out to Korean zombies. You guys do it right. So
just shout out to Korean filmmaking and TV show making in general. Because everything that I've checked out has been good. But I will say this, like, we talk about Game of Thrones and how no one is safe. No one's really safe in anything filmed by Koreans at all. Like, every character is on the chopping block and can go at any moment. Do not get comfortable with anyone. Because every show that I've done has been like, I thought they were going to last longer. I like that character.
Same thing with this show. I was like, oh, look at this mom. Oh, I like this mom. She's a great... Oh.
And she's dead.
And she's gone.
Did you guys ever watch Squid Game? That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of did something like that, too. Squid Game was awesome, man. Just killing people. Loved it. It reminds me of like Battle Royale. I don't know if you guys ever seen Battle Royale. That movie's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of teenagers, Battle Royale is about a bunch of high school teenagers that are sent to an island, and they all have a certain amount of time. Each one's given a different weapon, and they have to kill each other until the last one survives for the entertainment of their country. Television show.
They were just killing. There was no drugs, no sex, nothing. It was just killing.
I already saw Johnny Mnemonic. I'm good, dude.
Yeah. What's on my queue is the poster right behind you, Chuck. House. It's been a little while since I've seen it. Love that movie.
Yes.
I love that movie. The little bullet that falls off the table. He
Yeah.
goes and he gets up. It's a big old giant monster. I love that movie, man. House
That's a
doesn't get
great
enough
movie.
shout out, dude. I love
Yeah.
House.
Shout out to House. There you
Shout
go.
out to House. There you go. So thank you everybody for watching another episode of Not a Strong Start. I'm Daniel DeSangre. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at king_sangre, SANGRE.
I'm Zendaya. You can catch me at Chuck Radwell 12.
Well, that's kind of a weird handle for Zendaya, isn't it? But okay.
I'm Jose Ramos. You can catch me on Instagram at This Is Mi Nombre.
Good. You can find us. Please like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube channel, please. We need more subs. We actually crossed 400. So yay, let's keep it going.
Good job.
Let's keep it going, man. We're on the warpath to 1,000. We'll get there. But please also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Not a Strong Start. So having said that, drug use, everybody. Do it. Peace.